Welcome to the module on high-risk positions. I'm Jeremy Kent. We split this module into two parts because it's a large section. The first part is the meat of it, and the second part we delve into the details. So let's get started. Position incidence and high-risk position analysis in the setting of concussions is the bread and butter of this course. Knowing which positions on the field are high risk will provide you with the knowledge to better identify an SRC when they occur. There is a wealth of data out there on this topic. The challenging aspect is how each article calculates the data and what metrics they use. The most common metrics are athlete exposures, gameplay incidents, and player position incidents. Athlete exposures are most commonly cited because they were the first used. Unfortunately, they tend to be the least accurate. Athlete exposures take into account all player positions on a 53-man roster for the NFL and an 85-plus man roster for college. This doesn't tell the true story of what's going on during gameplay. The other two metrics, gameplay incidents and player position incidents, are more specific and consider the number of positions that take part in each game or play. Just because I know everyone loves getting down and dirty with the metrics, I'll briefly detail game position incidents and player position incidents. These are important and really the crux of this entire course, so having a basic understanding of these metrics will help provide context on where the data is coming from. So athlete exposures was the first metric used because it was the easiest calculation. It used the well-documented 53-man roster and compared it to the number of games played by the team. However, it didn't consider that not all players play. These limitations were well known, and shortly thereafter the game position incidence metric was introduced, which calculates the number of each position during any given play, such as 1 QB, 5 offensive linemen, 1 running back. There is some wiggle room that requires averaging depending on what offense or defense the team runs, but this was an improvement from athlete exposures because it better represented the players on the field. Play position incidence went one step further and included plays per position. The play position incidence uses gameplay incidents and then calculates in the number of plays a position participated in based on either offense or defense. The player position incidence provides an even more accurate assessment of concussion incidents. Thankfully, we've synthesized all this data and bring it to you high yield and ready for consumption. Combined, this data gives you knowledge to be an expert at identifying concussions. So let's start with a video. See if you can identify the concussion on the next slide.
But we've not really called his name a lot today as far as being on tackles. They've thrown away from him a lot too.
It's a killer penalty for William and Mary. Takes it back to the 46. Cluley wants to get rid of it quickly, and he has his guy out in the flats, knocked out of bounds. That's Jack Armstrong, who had a 6.
Were you able to spot the SRC in real time? Did you see the player cue? This one would have been missed unless the player reported symptoms. There was nothing obvious about this play. However, as you'll learn, there are some high-risk features of this play that, if known, could clue you into being suspicious. Maybe these nuances would prompt you to quickly check him out when the ball changes possession and he comes to the bench. Evidence shows 3 positions at greatest risk for an in-game concussion, not including special teams. Depending on how the data is calculated, the order of these 3 positions change, but they are consistently the top 3: defensive back, running back, and wide receiver. This data primarily relies on the most recent studies from the NFL and NCAA. 10 years ago, the top 3 positions were a little different, but more recent data has really solidified these 3 at the top. If you think about it, it really makes sense. On the field of play, these 3 positions are very much associated, and later in the course, you will see how intricately linked these 3 positions are. So this list is important. Defensive back, running back, and wide receiver are the highest risk for concussions. Let's take a look at another video. See if you can identify the SRC. This is Coach's video and has 2 separate angles. Using replay such as DV Sport Replay or NFL Replay, you may also have these extra angles to view the play from. With portable computers available on the sideline for review, these replays will be more accessible to sideline medical staff, allowing for better viewing angles. Replay should already be available to medical observers. The SRC occurred on the fullback. It was not an overly impressive hit and could have easily been missed. but he was a high-risk position, something I didn't mention earlier because now seemed to be the better time, but fullbacks and running backs are often grouped together in metric calculations. He also displayed a player cue, and it was a helmet-to-helmet hit. Here is the video one more time. Moving on to another video, see if you can spot the concussion. The receiver caught the ball and received a helmet-to-helmet hit. He was a little slow to get up, but no significant player cue. From the side angle, it didn't seem to be that hard of a hit, but from the end zone view, you can tell it was a significant blow to the helmet. Here is another video. This seemed like a minor hit at first glance, but the player didn't get up and showed a player cue of lying motionless. Replaying the video several times shows the defensive back's knee hitting the back of the running back's helmet while the running back was being tackled by another player. That slow to go down ball handler, who was otherwise exposed, provides a potential cringeworthy play of getting creamed by another player coming in to finish the tackle. This play ultimately ended up not being that cringeworthy hit, but the player still sustained an SRC. Another point to make is that the back of the helmet seems to be a weak spot for SRCs, as we'll detail in the helmet impact module. This concludes this module. Please click the back button on your internet browser to return to the training module main page. This concludes part 1 of high-risk positions. Part 2 is next. Please click on the header bar to either proceed to the next module or return to the main page.